Hello, my lovely, lovely listeners, and welcome back to the channel. My name is Georgia, and I hope y'all are having a wonderful day. Today's video is about Canadian and Russian relations. This video will expand on the past, current, and hopeful future relations between the two largest countries in the world, obviously Canada and Russia. As far as future relations, these are my own guesses and opinions on how future relations could develop. But let's get started, and I hope you enjoyed this episode. Before we go into the past, current, and future relations, I'm looking at this from a Canadian perspective, so I just want to give you all some context from the Russian side. I had to learn a bit about this because obviously they don't teach you a lot about Russia in mainstream Canadian education. So if you're looking at this from a North American, which I'm sure probably a lot of you are, I'll just give you a little bit of information. So the Russian president is obviously Vladimir Putin. Meanwhile, the prime minister is Mikhail Mushtin. Please excuse my mispronunciation. Also, disclaimer, if I ever pronounce something wrong, please know it is not me purposefully trying to do that. I'm literally just an idiot. So yeah, and if I do pronounce something wrong, please tell me in the comments. I'd really appreciate that. I just want to learn. So anything you can do to help me learn, I'll take. Sorry, lost my place on my sheet of information I'll be giving you guys. So Russia is operated under a federal semi-presidential constitutional republic. And their main exports are oil, which includes also petroleum products, minerals, gas, and coal. They've had a 2.3 economic growth, and GDP growth was weak over the past 5 years, which was burdened by structural weakness, low levels of investment, and poor demographic outlook. But luckily, it improved in 2018. Though my personal opinions on Russia are messy, I didn't want my issues with how they invest their money to overshadow what I think on Canadian-Russian relations. But if you want to tell me a bit about your opinions on Russian relations with other foreign countries, please tell me. I would love to know your opinions, because no one that I know knows anything about Russian foreign relations. Sorry. In 2020, Russia and Saudi Arabia began an oil price war, which is technically an economic war because Russia refused to reduce oil production in order to keep oil prices at a moderate price. Furthermore, Russia has had de-escalation efforts in the Syrian conflict by working with Jerusalem, Tehran, and Ankara, which Tehran is Iran, I believe, and Ankara is Turkey. Obviously, Jerusalem is Palestine. Those are just some quick facts to tell you about Russia's current economic and political situation. So let's start with past relations. In 1989, Pierre Trudeau and Boris Yeltsin, who was the president prior to Vladimir Putin, first met. Then Canada and Russia began diplomatic relations in 1992, shortly after the disintegration of the Soviet Union. I'm so sorry, I can't speak. Canada then signed multiple bilateral treaties with Russia, which included agreements on trade, commerce, general cooperation, the Arctic, and the environment. The Western economic sanctions have contributed to Russian poverty and economic uncertainty. The first time Stephen Harper and Vladimir Putin wouldn't be again until 2006 at a G8 summit in St. Petersburg. This is when they signed the statements on energy and relationary cooperation. They have a really short history, to be honest. So let's skip to current relations. Yay! There is a Canada-Russia business summit. Here's Russia's first deputy prime minister, Viktor Zubkov, and Canada's Minister of International Trade, who is Edward Fast, to speak about it, and I quote, so the business summit talks about perspectives of innovative cooperation between our countries. Canadian and Russian relations have been quite restricted since the 2014 Russian-Western confrontation. Currently, they majoritarily collaborate through the Arctic Council. So if you don't know, Russia obviously wants a little piece of Canadian land, so they've been fighting about that for a while. Due to this deteriorating trust between Moscow and Western states, they may have turned the Arctic into a theater of essentially geopolitical misbehavior. They aim to share the cooperation on circumpolar affairs and ensure that the Arctic remains a zone of peace. That remains to be seen. Their similarities actually extend into macro-level foreign policy and strategy. And historically, Russia has always had an interest in real federalism, economic development, and social policy, infrastructure, and could learn from Canada's strong policies. Although I do have opinions on how Canada runs their government, I think if Russia really wants to succeed as a country and as a government, they do need to start looking at social accountability, I guess. Probably starting with banning domestic abuse would be a start, but that's just my opinion. With Canada's new strong policies and developed political ties, Russia could advance their government back into the powerhouse it once was. When the countries wanted closer economic ties, they decided to then create the Canada-Russia Inter-Governmental Economic Commission. In this commission, they worked together on agri-food, agriculture, food, energy, construction, housing, mining, and even the Arctic and the North. It's quite similar to the business summit I was talking about earlier. In political ties, they created the Canada-Russia Parliamentary Friendship Group, which is a funny name. Both countries are also members of the Organization for Security and Cooperation in Europe and the International Ice Hockey Federation, which, if that doesn't describe our two countries, I don't know what will. Moreover, they are both part of the UN, the G8, APEC, which is the Asian Pacific Economic Cooperation, and NATO, which is the Russian Council part of it. Furthermore, Canada has an embassy in Moscow and an honorary consulate in Vladivostok. Meanwhile, the Russians have an embassy in Ottawa, a consulate general in Toronto, and another consulate general in Montreal. They also have an honorary consulate, another one, in Vancouver. Russia's ambassador to Canada is Alexander Darchev. Sorry if I mispronounced that, I'm just an idiot. He has been the representative of Russia since October 24th, 2014, and Canada's ambassador to Russia is Alison Leclerc. She recently became the ambassador to Russia in January of 2020. While she is the ambassador of Russia, she's also the ambassador to Armenia and Uzbekistan. So that's the end of information on the current relations, and let's get to future relations. So Canadian and Russian economic relations would technically be mutually beneficial, though some serious bilateral policy framework needs to be created if they want that. Sadly, the only way they would do that, I think Canada would do that, not sadly, but the only way they would do that was if Russia cuts ties with terrorists and with countries that perpetuate human rights violations inside and outside of their borders. Talking to you, Saudi Arabia. Oh my god, am I gonna get killed? It is an essential relationship if we as Canadians want to peacefully manage our northernmost border. The Arctic is a useful starting point for the development of a broader bilateral dialogue that focuses on domestic governance and international strategy. which includes potential harmonization of trade and economic exports. If they do want a mutually beneficial relationship, I think Russia should also further development close trade with Asian markets, which includes Eurasian markets. The establishment of a joint Canadian-Russian Economic Development Forum would also help to build trust between the nations. Since Russians obviously fear Chinese encroachment, economically, demographically, and strategically, a better relationship with Canada brings with it all the allies Canada has, which includes the US, who I'm sure would be happy to inconvenience the strategic goals of China. Russia has always had a tenuous relationship with the United States, but by creating a relationship with Canada, they could reap the benefits of being allied with the Canada and the United States. They would also need to, or Canada would need to, deepen their engagement with the EEU. So thanks for listening to this episode. I know it's a little short. Please tell me in the comments, do you think there are any advantages to working with the Russians, or do you think there are any advantages to working with the Canadians and to furthering or developing more economic engagement with Russia? I'd love to know your thoughts on the matter. If you want me to talk about anything specific, even a video in a different language, please let me know. This is as much your channel as it is mine. I hope you all are having a good day, and I hope to see you next time.